Your Highness, new weapons have appeared in the forge.
Years and years ago, a buddy of mine in high school told me about a strategy game where you had no control over any of your units. It was a fantasy world of heroes, and if you wanted them to do anything, then you needed to entice them with money. I was interested in the idea, and shortly thereafter, that friend burned me a copy of the original Majesty, which I spent countless hours on. There was a sequel to the game made by a different developer. It didn't go over as well as the first with the fans, but I liked it all the same and also put a good amount of time into that one as well. But after that, I sort of forgot about the franchise largely because no one has ever done anything quite like it. Well, that is until Rockbeat Team decided that they were going to do it themselves and revive Majesty in their spiritual successor known as Lessaria. So without further ado, let's jump into the first impressions I had with the game.
I am the hunter here.
So right away, it's no surprise that much of this game will seem familiar to those who played the original Majesty games. Indeed, the developers themselves had even said that they wanted this to feel like a third game in the franchise. In the first mission, I was immediately surprised and happy to hear this fella as my loyal advisor.
We have arrived, Your Highness. Mayhaps this village does not quite match your standards, but even a backwater such as this may yet become worthy of a prince. Order the construction of a lumber mill, a swift and reliable way to replenish the treasury.
Such a throwback, and it was pretty cool that they got George Ledoux to, I guess, kind of reprise his role. But outside of that fun nostalgia trip, the game has you building guilds to train heroes who will go out and take on kingdom's obstacles. However, in order to do so, you'll need money to create bounties, such as exploration bounties to clear Fog of War, or attack bounties to take out a particularly strong foe or destroy monster lairs. That said, these bounties act more as incentives to your units rather than actually getting them to do what you want. The heroes themselves wander around and go on their own adventures. Obviously, a high bounty will get their attention, and if you have the cash, then you could usually get heroes to do what you want. But what do the heroes do with all this money? Well, spend it, of course. One really clever way that Lessaria does, and by extension the Majesty games, is have that income spent funnel back into the king's coffers. I'm getting slightly ahead of myself though. The way that the kingdom keeps running smoothly is through the use of tax collectors. These are guys that you could physically see on the map walking from building to building and collecting money. They take this back to the keep and you get your payday. However, if they were to get caught by a stray monster, then, well, no money for you. Lessaria starts by telling the player to build certain resource buildings, such as a lumberyard and a stone mine. To the best of my knowledge, they are merely different flavors of getting the same thing, essentially gold. Interestingly, you can build your own peasant houses, which were built automatically and randomly in the original Majesty games. Furthermore, there is a pop cap, and many buildings and the heroes have a population cost. One additional aspect to the economy is the building of various shops like a marketplace or blacksmith. These provide income for the tax collector to gather, but also provide services for the heroes. So, have the heroes go out and collect bounties and loot from their conquests, and then have them return for a well-deserved shopping spree. In the end, the tax collector comes and collects the money so that you can invest back into the shops for higher tier, and more costly, gear that the heroes can then, in turn, repeat the process. It's clever, and I love that it facilitates this idea of an immersive fantasy world that the player creates. Before I get into my final thoughts, if you're enjoying the video or found it helpful, then please consider giving this video a like and subscribing for more video game coverage in the form of reviews and first impressions. And hey, if you happen to be watching this video in the first week of its release, then I'd be super appreciative if you could hit that hype button as well. And, is Lessaria a true spiritual successor? And how much of it is actually any different from the games it's based on? It does have some differences that they've tried to make, as mentioned with the economy, but also with the ability for heroes to party up and the inclusion of timed waves of enemies. Personally, I didn't feel that these changes really did that much to shake things up, but keep in mind, this was only a few hours of playing. They also included a new currency called Influence that the player can use to apply majestic pressure on various buildings or individuals to make them do what they want. Collect gold faster, prioritize building projects, or directing heroes to certain points on the map. It's a nice way to give a little more control back to the player without ruining the initial premise of the game. I do think the original Majesty games are worth checking out, but if you liked what you saw or you're a fan of Majesty, then you should definitely give Lessaria a chance. The style of game they're making just has not really been done at all to my knowledge since the last Majesty game, and Lessaria itself has really solid foundations. It truly is like I'm playing Majesty 3. I think some things I'd like to see are maybe just a bit more of that silly charm that the original Majesty games had. The different one-liners heroes and other so-called units would say, there's some of that, but I'd like to hear more. There also isn't that much content currently with only a campaign and no sandbox mode. There is a survival mode, but you're under constant attack from increasingly stronger waves. Good for a challenge, but not quite the same experience of just building up and sending heroes out to adventure. Also, some more quality of life features would be nice. The biggest thing for me was that I couldn't right-click on something and have it contextually place a corresponding bounty flag. I played Majesty 2 recently alongside this, and found it quite nice to be able to right-click on a layer to automatically set up an attack flag, or a trade caravan to set up a defensive flag, etc. In Lessaria, I need to manually click on the flag I want, and then place it on the corresponding target, which is a bit annoying. However, the devs are aware of issues the players have with their game, and are completely open to criticism. They've already released a couple posts addressing this, and are taking it all in stride, which is commendable of them. They gathered what the players have said is wrong with the game, and have already started to address some issues in recent updates, with the full roadmap to come in the near future. Now, this isn't an early access release, but they seem committed to continue working on the game until it's at a point where they and the players are happy with where it's at. Given their complete transparency, I think that's another great reason to support the devs and pick up Lessaria if you were already leaning in that direction anyway. If you played the game, then let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you haven't, then let me know if it sounds like something you'd be interested in, or if you have any other questions. I hope this video helped you in some small way, and if it did, then please consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe, or whatever it is you feel like doing. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.